says I am live. And I don't know if I am really. We will see in a minute if anyone pops up. Seeing if this is how this works or not. I don't know why this mic keeps going. Some months he keeps loosening it. All right. And there's nobody there. Am I in the right place? Hello, everyone. Well, it's just 2 or 3 of us, so it's not an everyone thing. We're trying to see how this works out. Hi. Hope everyone's feeling well. Yes, we see you. And can you hear me? I did this all on my own. I'm so proud of myself. Trevor did just get home, so he will be able to come in here and tell me if I did it right, because I don't have it set up the way he does it. I don't know what it is he does, but he will be in here in a second. He just got back in from Tucson. So he was in Tucson, and Tyler's in Flagstaff, and they acted like I'm a complete idiot. I was not going to be able to do this, which it's just, I didn't have a problem. And I got on, and you can hear me, and you can see me, and there we are. Here we go, New Jersey. Everybody, greetings from Germany. So Deutschland. There we are, so far away. There's Trevor, back from his journey to Tucson and back. There you are. How was your trip?
It was all right. Pretty good.
There you go.
Hotel was nice. It was a resort.
Well, that's what. Yeah, I know that. Okay.
Nobody else does. Expensive too.
Yeah. Did you pay for it?
I paid for my food.
Yeah, I managed this all by myself.
A burger.
I managed this all by myself.
A burger there costs $20.
I still manage this all by myself.
Yeah, I see that.
Yeah, it's working. People hear me. I'm talking.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Don't need you no more.
You still need me.
Okay, sure. Mikey thinks I need him. People are saying, hey, Trevor. Yeah. Okay. 9 a.m. Saturday, Australia. Oh, God, Australia. I thought it was impressive. We had Germany on board, and now we have Australia. Start doing this every week, and next thing you know. And again, this could have been archival or something else today. And Trevor was out of town. Tyler was leaving. And it was like, well, don't worry about us trying to figure something out. I'll just go live. So, and nobody was sure if I would be able to manage it. And somehow I was. So before we get very much further, Jack San Felice, his book is out. It's still more coming from the printers. It'll be available. You can go to jacksanfelice.com. You can go to the Superstition Mountain Museum. You can go to Goldfield Ghost Town Museum. Should be able to pick up a copy, $29.95. Finding El Dorado. And is it Finding El Dorado or Finding Lost El Dorado?
It's just Finding El Dorado.
Finding El Dorado. Anyways, has the same cover as the other book. Grab the other book so we can show them, because the cover is the same. This is where it gets a little confusing. The cover, it's over here to your left, right next to When Silver Was King. I don't do that. It's not that difficult to find things on my bookshelf. Anyways,
just Finding El Dorado.
It was Lost El Dorado of Jacob Waltz. Now it's Finding El Dorado. The cover is the same. So the book used to be $24.95. Now it is $29.95. It's not a reimagining. It's probably similar to what Jesse's book is. A lot of new material and completely kind of rewritten, pulled completely apart and rewritten. Jack's very proud of it. Got it out. But if you order through jacksanfelice.com, Jack will sign and send them out. Remember, it will take Jack a while to get that all over. We really enjoyed your chat about the Dons and the get-together at the rendezvous. So, but yeah, that was Monday. So we'll have to come up with something else again this Monday. But Jack's new book, pick it up. Frank's out there smacking it all over Facebook. So you might have seen something about it on Facebook and all that. Catch it here. And we'll put a link up on the website, legendofsuperstitionmountains.com. That'll link you to probably Jack's website. If it gets on Amazon, then we'll also put a link there. And that'll all be good and done. But please go out and, like I asked everybody, to pick up Ron's autobiography and Jesse's book, Trail of the Dutchman. Pick up Finding El Dorado by Jack Sanfelice. And we'll do an episode, Chasing Legends episode, once we've gone through it and talk a little bit about what's in the book, but not too detailed. And we're not going to criticize it or pull it apart. If I was going to do something like that, you wait some time for everybody to digest and have an opportunity to read it. So that's Jack's book. We got the Rendezvous coming up November 3rd, 4th, and 5th, which Jack wanted to be one of the guest speakers. Another was James Simpson, who believes he's solved the Lost Dutchman puzzle utilizing the Beale codes. So he wanted to speak. And I got two or three other people that I'm kind of lining up. So hopefully there'll be more people, and they'll kind of on Saturday night evening, the 4th, the program, which will probably begin around 6 p.m. that evening. What are you doing? Well, here comes Rocky. Rocky. Oh, he's leaving. Okay, I thought Rocky was going to put on an appearance here. So anyways, so there that is. Good beard, Trevor.
Thank you.
He's a leprechaun. What do you think? All right, so we got Eric in Australia, and we got Stephanie in Germany, and people chiming in from wherever. Still waiting for the episode. History's Greatest Mysteries. Okay, and let me catch this next one, and we'll get to that. What do you think about AJ looking to open the road to Fish Creek back? I'm local and following this closely. Hopefully they'll get it done. I think they're just wasting everyone's time to try to continue to delay, to not do anything about it. They'll force everyone to do every workaround possible and not have to mess with it. It's funny when everybody wants something and thinks that they should get something straightened out, worked out, something like that, Fish Creek Hill. It's funny how you would think that would be done by now, because they use the excuses of letting the plants grow and so many other things. They could have just cleared a lot of stuff out of the way, knocked some of the boulders down, not opened it up, but started looking at more of what to do to repair it and so forth. And I just feel they're in a constant delay process. I know what kind of occurred somewhat in the meeting and some of the options and stuff. So that just made me feel even more so that they're going to be in a perpetual shuffling of feet. Yes, they should repair it and it should be opened back up. It's a historic road. If they're going to do it, they should do it right, because so many people have utilized it. It's great for tourism and so forth, but I don't know. We'll see what happens with that. I'm a supporter of opening it. It's just, I don't think any of us are going to matter. I think it's going to take something much larger than the rest of us for them to finally drag their feet out of the mud and move forward with it. All right, I'm going to get back to the History Channel. I really miss that road. How's the heat over there? It's 109 degrees today, about 17% humidity. It's going to be back up to the 111, 112, 113 coming into next week, and then it'll drop back down again. We had some cool days. It got really nice, and then it just went up. Does Trev play the guitar too? He is learning. He is starting out. He does a plunk, ka-plunk, ka-plunk, ka-plunk. Okay, the real Batman says, the great Wayne Tuttle, Dark Knight. There you are. See, I'm the Dark Knight. I'm the legend. I'm many things to many people. Too hot to hike. It is really kind of hot to hike right now, and it's just miserable. Mornings are still really hot. The mornings are a little better. The sun's not coming up till about 6. So, or not 6. Sun's coming up about 5:30, 5:45. So it'll get better here. We got another month before it gets really nice, and you don't want to really push it out there or encourage people to push it out there, because it's still pretty damn hot. History Channel. So we were talking about History Channel's History's Greatest Mysteries with Lawrence Fishburne, which once we conclude this, I have to make a phone call. I have to call the production company and talk to History Channel, because there's a bit of confusion. Now, They are getting ready. I think they wrapped up season 4 and they're going to do season 5. I know several of the episodes that will be in season 5, one of which is one on the Lost Dutchman mine. I don't know if there'll be more than one or several different pieces or just one 1-hour program. And they've been asking me for photographs about specific people. I sent them some stuff particular to other certain things on the show. And then they say, oh, will you please send us a release allowing us to use the material from your archives? And I'm like, yeah, no problem. So hold it. Way too hot and somewhat humid. Trevor's willing to connect on if the orbs in the suit. Is Trevor, did you think the orbs in the thing were the lens flares? Dust motes, Trevor?
Maybe. I don't know. I don't remember.
He doesn't remember. He's been really swamped and busy this last 4 weeks. So he doesn't even know his middle name anymore.
I literally just got back from
Tucson
like 10 minutes ago.
Gilgold prospecting from San Antonio, Texas, where every day is a golden day is on. And so hot the nuggets are melting. Do you think the Dutchman's gold is hiding or melted too? I don't think it's hiding. It's not melted. The ground doesn't get that hot, man. But it is in a caldera, so if it ever does heat back up, it's going to melt. Hey, Wayne, love that you do the live. And now a question, you mentioned Castle Rock, Skeleton Graveyard the other day. Did that couple really find some? I don't believe so. I think they've always said they did. There's no proof of it. I've always asked for specific pictures. Tom Collenborn's dad, they found some stuff too in Needle Canyon in a cave. And they were very excited. They thought it was pieces of armor, Spanish armor or Mexican armor or something. And I read about it, but then it turned out they realized once they got it home and went thoroughly through it that it was pieces of shovels. So there is a couple different stories. There is one trip we have to make out to a site where there's supposedly a cave with Spanish armor that has some pieces left. So it'd be great to test and find something that, from what I know of actual physical evidence of anything physical, we could say, oh, no. Shoes has Spanish armor. It's in the museum, but he bought it from a guy in New Mexico, which I was hoping it was the guy that worked with Doc Noss on Victoria Peak. I was hoping he had sold that armor to Shoes, but it's a different set of armor because there's pictures of that armor and Shoes is already. I looked at two of the things and all that. Anyways, getting back to history's greatest mysteries, because everybody's on pins and needles and on their toes over that. So they've been contacting me. Oh, can you give me a picture of John Wilburn? Because I guess we talked about John Wilburn and this and that. And we will do a Chasing Legends on my whole journey through that process when I went to film. Because I did film and I did a lot of pictures and stuff. And it was kind of a neat trip. And I promised Trevor for once, kind of run people through the process, everything around the filming. Now, I didn't really, outside of a couple pictures, I didn't film when we were filming on the sound stage. But I wanted to give people kind of an idea what that routine is like and everything and all. And it's kind of neat. But anyways, so they contacted me and then they said, well, they were looking for something of Travis Tomlinson. There's not a lot of pictures of Travis Tomlinson, so had to ask for one that we could use. And so we got that. And then they kept asking. And then they finally just asked me, hey, we loved the Bulldog Mine episode on the legend, the Superstition Mountains archival project. Do you know who we could get a hold of to, could we use that and all this? And I'm like, you're still talking to me. You're using the same email and the same people. So now I got to sort out with him that Legend of the Superstition Mountains and Black Legion Films and the Superstition Archival Project and Black Hand Productions and Wayne Tuttle and all these things that they keep emailing and working with. It's the same person. So it's kind of funny that they're trying to make me sign releases. And I'm like, it's the same guy. You keep asking the same guy the questions. So, and they're like, oh, good to know. So I'm going to have to talk to them and sort that out. is like, yes, I'm giving you permission to use Legend of the Superstition Mountains material. So there. Puts me in the driver's seat, did they? Did the network give you F-150? So many people have asked that. No, that was my truck. That King Ranch was my truck many years. That thing probably had 120,000 miles on it by the time we went up in the mountains. Yeah, I had that truck for a long time, man. That was my King Ranch. But no, that was my truck. And no, they didn't. Shit, the network give you a truck. No, and they never even ran a Ford commercial till probably the third or fourth episode. They were running Chevy or Dodge commercials, and I'm like, because if you watch the episodes, they blur all the Ford logos out at first, and I'm like, did anybody ever think of asking Ford, since I think every vehicle outside of Frank's 4Runner was a Ford truck in the show. So I'm thinking, why would you not ask Ford or do something? Get the waiver from them to show their logo, because they'd probably be, and they did. It wasn't a truck commercial. It was like a service commercial they ran. Hello, Wayne, Trevor, and chat.
I think you missed one, by the way. It says, "Are you aware of
Bassanite YouTube channel? He often posts on Spanish mines in the area, shows the hikes and out where they're at." Is that the guy that does the clue thing? No, that isn't that guy. It's a different guy where it says, I'll give you clues. Oh, it's Jax now. But I'll give you clues, and he doesn't tell you where it's at, and then you can try to figure it out. I don't think it's that guy. No, I'm not that. I probably have watched it. I'm not aware of the guy's channels.
I'm going to go get unpacked.
Okay, you can go get unpacked. Thank you, Trevor, for joining us. And I will get a hold of History Channel here once we're finished up and wrapped up here.
Yeah.
There.
I'll be back.
Okay. That was a nice truck. Leather seats, the brown leather seats. Had the heat and cooled seats. And it was a really, really nice truck, but it just got worn out. So, and then I still have an F-150, but yeah, I had the King Ranch and I had the Lariat. Before all of that, I had the Bronco, an Eddie Bauer Bronco. So they were all nice trucks, really nice vehicles. But it was just, and that was not the truck, seriously, to have out there with a bunch of guys running around the desert jumping in. It cost History Channel a pretty penny to clean that truck, because they were like, "Oh yeah, we'll go take it down and clean it." No. I'm going to get it detailed. I had to have everything vacuumed out, then everything shampooed, and then all the leather refurbished and done and stuff. And it was really funny, because when I took it down and had it detailed, it cost History Channel like $500, $600 to get it detailed for me. It was mainly the interior I wanted done. Anyhow, it was funny because when I got back, the guy that did the detailing handed me a GoPro camera. They had left one of the GoPro cameras in the truck. So, can I use some of your folklore in my Lost Dutchman game I'm working on? Yeah, if it's folklore and I'm telling stories, just credit me. Or you use a different name. Call me, I don't know, Wyatt Tootle or something. I don't know. What you guys think of the new Bronco Ford released? I don't know. I went to look at them, and I was very surprised that they don't come standard with rear air. The reason I got rid of my Broncos, it didn't have rear air, and I really love that truck. It's far narrower. My Eddie Bauer was as wide as my F-150. In fact, I would say the F-150 and the Broncos in the 90s, it's the same setup inside. I mean, my Lariat, my Bronco, my F-150s, my King Ranch, all really were set up the same in the same space. The console, it's all very, very similar. Bronco's much narrower inside, so the interior it's not as luxurious or as nice. I haven't been in one of the upscaled Broncos yet, but I looked at one. I was like, man, this is kind of narrow and stuff. It's kind of tight. I don't need to sit that close to Frank. So I wasn't that impressed with it overall. The Bronco Sports are kind of like Escapes on steroids. Everything feels the same as an Escape, but the normal Broncos, I'm not sure. I haven't really been around them enough. Everybody seems to be talking really love them and the handling and everything else. They're much shorter too, obviously. Um, the last versions of the Bronco were pretty big trucks. I mean, they were wide. They weren't as long as an F-150, but they were pretty good sized trucks. They were like built like tanks. So I'm not sure. I like the body style. I'm not sure about the interior. And plus the old Broncos, I like the fact that the rear seat folded down and you ended up with like a short bed pickup truck inside and with the shell off and everything. But I'm just not sure. I don't know how the seats all work out with the 4 doors and all. So, but my main thing for getting rid of the Bronco originally was I wanted rear air for the kids and stuff. And even with the air and the air conditioning worked pretty good. And that thing would get hot. When it was really hot in the summer, it still was pretty warm in there. And before that Bronco, I had another Bronco, which was a Granny Gear stick shift with a straight 6. So had a lot of Broncos, a lot of F-150s. You can use my folklore. Think of the new Broncos. Could you show us that old watch you found? It's not in here. I'll try to remember it next week. It's not in here. It's in a different room, and Trevor left. I'm trying to think where it's at. I think it's just sitting up on a dresser somewhere, but it's laying around. I don't think it's behind me. I'm looking. I see the silver dollars. I see the pyramid. I see the grinding stone. I see some stuff, but I don't think it's sitting out here. I think that's put up in the other room. If he comes back in after he packs, I'll tell him to go in and look. Okay. Thanks. I was excited about them, but have you noticed the ones that are a few-year-olds don't seem to be holding? I haven't noticed that yet. Everybody I've talked to loves them, so that's where I'm at. I love the looks of the new. Okay, we're into the Bronco thing. Or maybe it was the Scouts. You're talking about the Scout Internationals. Okay. Do you think any of Tom Collenborn's collections or records will come out? That's hard to say. I would not say one way or the other right now. Some of Tom's collections are in some of his collection is within the family. They have no immediate or any long-term plans on doing anything with it. Some of the collection, there's material that is in private hands, and I don't believe at this time there's any real definitive plans of doing anything with that material. So what material we do have that we publish, I talk about material that is not published anywhere or anything out of the collections. But yeah, as far as releasing anything or anything like that, I for a long time with him, really wanted him on certain material he had and other things. Felt rather than write books, he should just publish those materials to have them out there. And he just didn't feel it would be entertaining enough. It was the sort of thing that someone like myself, and there might be people here, would be real interested in, but it wasn't anything that a general public would be interested in at all. So that was kind of, he had that argument, which he was probably correct and right. I just wanted to see this stuff. So I would say there's nothing definitive, any short time period that anything else will be coming out. And I don't know what would happen long term. It would be something would change and someone would be like, oh, you know what? And if that happened, I kind of know who might be involved. But like I said, that's one for other people to decide. And I just sit there. I'm thankful I knew Tom, and thankful for what I got it from him. And I think that's the case for a lot of people. So, Trevor picked up a copy of his book. I can't remember the name of the book right now. He wrote a couple novels and fictional novels, and Trevor got a copy of one. But anyways, like I said, it kind of is what it is. It's one of the reasons the archival project and a lot of things we've tried to do. And I know it's a slow process with everything we're trying to do at once, but that was part of it, is to get stuff. I was so disappointed that Rick Gwynn and I talked for a long time, and he kept telling me, I'll just sit down. I'll tell all the secrets I know, everything about Bob Ward, all this stuff. And I said, okay. And then he'd be sick. He'd be in the hospital. He'd get home. And then we talk about it. We were on the phone every week talking about it. And I said, Rick, just save this till we sit down in person. And the idea was going to be is we'd meet several times. And I was just going to let him talk, not even ask questions, do an interview, just let him talk. And then when it got slowed down or something got repetitive, then just introduce something new. But I wanted him just to talk about as much as he wanted to and just get it on film and audio. And so we would have that preserved. And then we kept planning on it. Rick kept getting sick or having health issues. And then he came out and he looked really good. And he seemed to bounce back. That was when Lust for Gold, we did the theater opening of it. And I saw him there. He was with the grandkids and he was doing really good. And he was up all night with us and seemed to be good spirits. Then he was moving to, is it Arkansas? But he was going to move to Arkansas, I think. They packed everything up. Me and Frank went and visited him a couple times before he was leaving. And he got packed up to go. And I think it was they were leaving town. And we still talked about it, of doing something. And I said, we can do it over the phone. We can, we'll capture the video. And then I don't remember who he was right. But anyways, they had the trailer hooked up or whatever. And they were leaving. And then he said, take me to the hospital. And that was it. He went to the hospital. And I think he wasn't very responsive because I called and I talked to his wife and the kids. I talked to Will. I don't know if I talked to Jeremy, but I know I talked to Will and Georgiana. But I don't know if I ever talked to Rick again. I think if I talked to him, he was just mumbling and all. He was kind of coherent, but yeah, it went really quick. It was really sudden, And it's one of those things that we learned with the archive stuff is that, try to make that opportunity, that chance. And we try to, but it's just so hard sometimes. You're waiting for someone to be in the right position, the weather, at least somewhere where you can do it right, not just do it. And it gets tough. So, okay, here we go. Tom's, where the old do you know where the old stone dipped boots ended up? I don't know what that is. Old stone dipped boots end up. Don't know what that is. Concrete boots. I don't know what you're talking about really offhand. Is it something Tom had? I don't know what that's referencing. The Broncos feel okay. We're back in the Broncos. How's Clay? Clay's doing fine. Clay is older than Methuselah. He's doing fine. He's just had so much and such a long, great wife or great life. He had a great wife, but he had such a great life and he's doing comfortably. He always say he won't do anything else, nothing else, no more. And we always get one more out of him. I try not to bug him. We did the thing we did with Sunsets with him, which was very informal. It was just me and Trevor hanging out with him, talking to him and letting him go down memory. It wasn't a Dutchman thing. It was about Clay Worst thing, which was very good. And I really enjoy spending time with Clay and seeing him light up and smile and laugh. And we had a great time. And that's kind of where I'm at with Clay anymore. And I know that some people who are really taking care of things and watching over Clay very closely. And I just hope the guy's just happy as a clam, smiling. And, so if we talk, the last time I saw Clay, we were helping. Yeah, he wanted to go to the Treasure Hunt of the Year Awards. I think that was the last time. But anyways, we went over and got him and brought him over in Bob's truck and then took him home and got him out and got him inside in his chair, made sure everything was fine in the house. And then we went back to the Mammoth. But, yeah, it was, he was in great spirits and we had some good conversations and stuff. But again, it's just, the spirit's willing, body's weak. And he's always fun to talk to. And he's such a nice guy. There's so many things about Clay. I think no matter what he does in life, and when people are upset with him, they always have to forgive him because he's so nice. And you can tell he's so broken up about when he feels like he's offended someone or something. He takes it pretty hard sometimes. So now it was Sunsets was purely just, hey, we just want to talk about your thoughts and feelings, psychology, this stuff. It wasn't, and I think he really enjoyed it because it was like, we'll just do about an hour. I'll make sure I have the specific what we want to talk about and all that, and we'll get out of your hair fast. So we were there for like 4 hours or whatever. We were talking. It was fun. So I just enjoy talking and spending time with them, because I've learned more and more with everyone is that you don't know when the last time will be. Boot outside of Ward's place. Oh, you mean the cement imprints? I'm sure they got destroyed. I'm sure all that stuff got rolled over and broken up. It was hard to put everything in its perspective in place, because when we went out and they got the little stargazing little thing there, it's really hard. You're looking around. They just tore the place all up. And I would think they didn't give a crap, and they just plowed everything under and nothing was saved. The Hensley steps and that stuff that was up the hill, I think everything's gone. Because I didn't see it. It took me a while, and it was very hard for me looking around to put things in perspective and figure out where the cabin had been and stuff, the way they bulldozed it. So I think it's long gone. I don't think anybody had a clue, and they had that place shut down where nobody could get in. So I think everything's gone. I did, the guy that was the host, I gave him one of Ward's books and talked to him about a lot of it, and told him about a few things, because his grandkids, I think he said, come out and stuff for them to be careful with. But I don't know if he found anything. And I told him it would have been nice if they would have preserved a few things, but that would have been the museum or someone, I don't know. So it is sad. So they call that progress, right? Well, yeah, they didn't, I thought, I hoped and thought the park would be built to preserve the past in the area, and that Burns Ranch and Bob Ward and his area would be celebrated somehow. But instead, they eradicated the history in the area and tried to just make it disappear. That was the thing that kind of bothered me, was it didn't matter all the people that had been out there and the people that have been, I'm just off the top of my head, I can't remember all the names, but all the history that was in that area, they just kind of didn't really care. They didn't have any insight into. So it's shame on them. And nobody really spoke up as it was happening. I know the Backuses did. I'm sure Sharon Donnelly did, because they're on either side of the park and their ranges and so forth. They were not happy at all, because I was really surprised that I asked Judy Backus, "Oh, you guys were okay with all this?" And she was like, "We were not, Wayne." And I haven't talked to Sharon Donnelly. But I would think, and she told me Sharon and the Donnelly family weren't okay with it either. So it was just the state rolling through, and the state didn't give a crap. And they think there's going to be revenue on that, and there will be revenue on that. And the people that enjoy it won't realize where they're standing. There will be no history on it. So it's a shame. But, one thing you can always take from a lot of that stuff was Tom Collenborn would always enjoy those things and those types of sites and stuff, and say it's just progress and you have to let it go and just enjoy what's here and celebrate that and all that. And I always thought that was kind of interesting, that Tom wouldn't be more sad about stuff, but he did embrace that. He probably would have loved the Peralta Park. He would have been sad of everything that was lost, but they wouldn't have cared. So he kind of understood that. I think he'd been around so much of it, he understood it. Arizona does not suck. Have you been to California? Everything's turned into a tourist attraction or jogging trail. Not necessarily, but yes. Have you been to California? Sorry, Californians, but back home we have there's historic markers all over here. There's tons. Arizona's got more open land, more historic markers, monuments, all that kind of crap than any place. I mean, Jesus. But the problem is, when you're dealing with local stuff, they're always trying to look at this way. 1934, the Dons of Arizona, I think it's 34, built the monument for the Lost Dutchman mine. It's still there. They built the new city monument in front of it, so when you go to the intersection, you can't see the Dons monument. And then they asked the Dons to move it, and the Dons refused because it's a historic marker. I was kind of in favor of moving it to like Goldfield or someplace where it would actually stand and people could see it. but it's still there. It's just totally ridiculous. It's going to be, I think, in a supermarket parking lot now. But it's just so ridiculous that even the city of Apache Junction, who uses the Prospector Jacob Waltz thing as their city symbol, and their big revenue comes from the Lost Dutchman Parade and rodeo and all this stuff and the parks and everything, they don't even give a crap in the end. I mean, preserving it, So they did. I mean, come on, think about what was there. And there wasn't a lot there, but what was there, that they'll tear something down and eradicate it in a heartbeat, because there's always new people coming into it. And it's hard to argue with those people, because being involved in the local city politics anywhere is they're looking at the revenue and how they can make more money to stay in revenue. And they're really just, they never preserve or do things right, especially, the city plans and the general plans for the city, which change every election. They come up with a whole new concept, which is one of the problems. Every time you elect people, the people represent their own self-interests and the interests of builders and contractors and, major corporations, not the small guys, and because that's where they're getting financing. If there's somebody's running for city council, and it happened here in Surprise, I mean, it was a small town, and people were spending $25,000, $30,000, $40,000 to run for a local office that paid $20,000 or less a year. And that tells you volumes that there's a lot of problems there and existent, that you're for that job, people are donating extreme. It's a problem in politics. Why I kind of got away, because I was a planning and zoning commissioner. I worked with a lot of government funding, state funding, federal funding for a lot of projects and stuff and groups. I did a lot, but I got so worn down by the politics. I was on the redistricting committee through the justice courts for the United States of America, the federal justice courts for voting and redistricting. And there is so much tomfoolery, and I'm not going to talk about, stolen elections and stuff, but for people to sit there and say there aren't self-interests and self-ideologies working in that stuff in those very rooms, and people wanting to cheat everybody else, finding an advantage for themselves and the big money, you're so kidding yourselves, because it's on every level, every local level down to the smallest level. And I dealt with it, and then I got tired of it, because I got the redistricting done where they can't totally destroy what I did. It'll take them 50 years to screw it up. But I had to literally lose friends, and it went to Washington, D.C., and I think it went to court over it. We did win, but there was a lot of problems with that, and it kind of strained some relationships, because I said, we'll do what's right, not what you guys figuratively think is best in your best interests. But I had one council member, I'll never forget, he actually reported to the newspaper that he wanted his redistricting to be done because he's being Hispanic. He wanted more Hispanics in his district because he felt that was advantageous for him winning his council seat in the next election, of increasing the number of Hispanics in his district. This was in a newspaper. He said it straight out, and people were like, huh? And I was like, hold it. He's on the redistricting committee. Why are you letting the councilman running for his office be in a redistricting group to make the boundaries for redistricting for his own election? And he's actually saying, I'm Hispanic and I need more Hispanic voters, so I'm going to change my district boundaries to allow more Hispanic. It was like you were just reading it and going, no. So there you go. I'm way behind on this stuff now. Okay, now we can play Frisbee golf, something at Peralta Park. Do they have Frisbee golf? I don't know. Great deal what they have done. I visit the ranch often. Which ranch? Donnelly or Quarter Circle U? I don't know which one you're talking about. So, same thing with Billy the Kid where I live. Past Dutch hunters get no respect. Well, we did the film, so hopefully that'll bring something around. Has anyone found any interesting info from genealogical records research? No, because most of the families, what happens, and I'll get this, democracy is messy. We're not a democracy. Remember that. We're a republic. It's not democracy. It's a republic. frequently in their own way. I mean, I'm not going to get into politics because I don't ever want to, but we are a republic, okay? And it's not a democracy. One of the craziest things, whatever. People, we all went through school, and I don't even want to get into that kind of stuff. They taught us something that wasn't really true, and it kind of has the same aim and end goal, but people always think it's a democracy, and it's not. We live in a republic, and each state is unto its own self a country. Anyways, okay. It's not just politicians, it's every one of the interests behind them. Interesting genealogical or combining archives. Yes, because I always have that, because my archives have increased tenfold. There's always interesting things. You don't know what everybody holds. They hold them for different reasons. Privately, it can be the vernacular of the language, what was used at that time. People are embarrassed how their father or grandfather spoke. There's very few second generation and then third generation Dutch hunters. Usually there's, Trevor's not the Dutch hunter in any shape or form that I was at his age or am now. He has a huge interest, but it's because he has an interest in a field that works with it. So I think it's helped increase and so forth. It's just like people are always surprised. I know Frank's read 3 or 4 books. He's read Tom's books. I think he's read some of Jack's books. Frank is not that knowledgeable on the Lost Dutchman. He knows what he's read, but I don't know. There's probably 200-300 books on the Lost Dutchman and all the stuff and the material. And he's been at the archives, and he's been through some stuff, and he's learned a lot more than a lot of people would. But what's particularly odd is when you would consider is like, oh, he's not, because Frank's not that into it. He's kind of into it. There's stuff about it he finds interesting, but there's a lot of certain deep delving. It's just not. I'm more of one, yes, I'll sit there with Ancestry and go through. There's some other great guys. Larry Hanna, Gary Cundiff, I've mentioned them before. I go a lot of deep diving into stuff like that. Paul Shimmick. They really like that kind of thing, and it is fun to build out everything about it. I particularly always, and one of the great conversations I have with Clay, he's one of the few people that really loves this conversation with me, is the mindset and psychology of Dutch hunters. He kind of tries to quietly go over it, but then we get a little deeper into it when we're talking, because I think he likes it, because it's so interesting how so many people can be so right about so many things in such a different view, and so wrong and believe in it so strongly. And it's just today I had a conversation with someone about Weaver's Needle and the whole P.C. Bicknell article, and how people have kind of tried to manipulate that and everything because of what he put in the article about the radius and all. Jacob Wall said nothing about Weaver's Needle, nothing like that. But it's people actually attribute that to Waltz by way of P.C. Bicknell and stuff. And it's so funny when I'm sitting, and it's not funny, but people actually think there are things that are clues that are not clues, that were just made up by newspaper reporters. And there's so much, and it's hard to get it out of your head after you've read it so many times. So someone goes online, they bite, and they take so much information, and that information is completely wrong, but it becomes part of what everybody starts believing in, because that's what they see. So that's why you can't blame History Channel, Discovery, and so many groups, because they go through a process, and then they talk to me, and it's kind of straight. And then you know what happens? Somebody goes, oh, I saw this on the internet. We never brought that up. We should bring that. And then I'm not part of that. And boom, it hits. And then I'm going, holy crap. Why wouldn't they ask me? So it's not necessarily those people's fault. They don't have the time and effort making 20 shows a year to spend months and months on each subject. It's just not going to happen. I'm trying to always find where I'm at. Okay. They scan the Dutchman's metal lighter with the XRF gun. Who's they? See, everybody likes to do that too. They scan the Dutchman's match lighter, the match box. It's not a lighter. It's a box that holds matches. It's a little box, and it held matches. It's very small, very, very small. It matched the 99% of the silver chief per the mercury content in 3 minds is what the TV show said. Exactly. Yeah, take that last 7-8 words there. Yeah, I could do that. I will say nothing further than look at the source of everything and then go back and yeah. So it was just, that was a conversation I had again today is, hey, if we find a bunch of gold sitting somewhere and let's take that gold and say this gold came from here, 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 and let's say we XRF it all and compare it. And it's from the same general region, but this stuff's all from the same site. But let's say it came from different sources, and then let's say this, and yes, you'll have matching ore, and it really comes across good. There was no neutral party involved in any of this or anything when you get to the TV shows. It's literally someone telling them. We had the XRF gun on Unexplained, Unexplored, and Emilio was pulling the trigger and shooting himself in the crotch. And the producers and all were laughing and they were filming, and we had to point out, it's like, you do realize you're blasting your genitals with radiation, don't you? And then he had this horrified look. It's like, dude, man, what did you think it was, a toy? Yes. So have there been any rendezvous where it rained? No, it's never rained at the rendezvous. It's never sprinkled at the rendezvous. It's always been generally either really nice weather or hot. That's it. Well, warm, very warm. But there have been nights that have been warm. It's been windy at night, but we've never had, I don't think we've even had much cloud cover over at the rendezvous, but it's always been great weather. That time of year almost rarely ever rains. So this year's when we're going to get a rainstorm. But it never has rained at the rendezvous. We've never had inclement weather, never had a problem with it. In fact, being in the Don's camp, January, February might get some rain down in there, but it's no. That's a great point. Now that you mentioned, is there any circumstantial evidence, prominent peak in Walt's story? Walt said there was 4 peaks to the north and peaks somewhere else and all that. You go back and read Bark's notes. We have them up on our website, legendofthesuperstitionmountains.com. And you go there and look at it, and Waltz talks about some prominent peaks in the area. He does not name them or refer to them. I don't know how well Weaver's Needle would have been known. That's one thing we have to say is Walt's kind of been familiar with the area, but I'm sure there's people. I've been in the mountains and walked with people, and they kind of walk in and they're looking at something, and I go, oh, that's, I just try to be friendly and say, oh, that's that. They go, oh, you know about that. And then we talk for a while. They've been out there for years, hiking, going out there every week. Some people, older people, daily doing hikes. They do not know the name of anything. They know this is the Superstition Mountains. They don't know anything beyond that. They know the name of the parking lot, maybe. And it just fascinates me, especially like going up Peralta Trail to Fremont Saddle. It's just amazing the amount of people that just don't know nothing. And they're just kind of completely lost in haze. And they don't know. Well, Waltz is in a whole different era and place. He's just a prospector. If he has a mine and stuff. That big thing, what do they call that? So it's in general, how well was well known. Things can be named and not necessarily known. Okay, we got to the rain. Brownie's dad received some of Jacob's gold. That's up to conjecture. I don't think Dick Holmes ever met Jacob Waltz. Reinhard Petrasch said he didn't. Dick Holmes said he did. That's 2 different sides of the coin. Ida Holmes said she was there with Dick Holmes. Dick Holmes said he was by himself. Brownie Holmes says he was there with Gideon Roberts. So even the Holmes family contradicts itself. I will tell you this. There was someone, and I will not mention his name, once said, why would Dick Holmes lie? Or no, he said, why would Dick Holmes lie? And my answer to him was like, it's not why would Dick Holmes lie about this? It's why did Dick Holmes lie about this? Because we know he lied. We know Waltz was a citizen. We know half the stuff in that story is absolute BS. So if you're reading a story and someone tells you this is the story about how we're the Dutchmen, and you realize more and more of it is absolute garbage and lies, and it's not accurate or correct, doesn't that cause you to doubt it? That's the only problem I have with the Holmes people is, can't you just pull back? And I won't tell you Clay Worth's feelings on this because I actually someday will put that out there and people would be surprised because there is a problem with Dick Holmes' story. It's not very accurate and it's not very clear who he knew or what. He placed Jacob Waltz in the wrong grave. He claimed he rescued him. He claimed he did this. He claimed he did that. It's a lot of storytelling. And the problem is a lot of it is just that storytelling. It's not the truth. And so did Dick Waltz get that? Did he steal that? Did he perhaps... Julia was looking to use that gold and try to find someone to sell it to. And Dick Holmes intervened. Him and Gideon Roberts went by and they heard the story. Dick Holmes said, I can help you with that. And he got his cut out of it. And is that what happened? Is he was trying to do it? Because, I've heard the stories of like, oh, Reinhard Petrasch threatened to kill Dick Holmes over the stolen ore, and it went to court. We have records and all kinds of stuff from those days. We have the inventory of Julia's store. But somehow all this make-believe crap, remember I've talked about people who are not who they are and they make up crap? Well, sometimes people make up a lot of crap about stories that didn't happen and there's no evidence of them. And for some unknown reason, people will tout them and say, well, he's a genius, man, I've never heard that before. Because if it fits with what your theory is or what you're thinking you're looking for, if the clue fits with where you think you should be looking, well, that must be a good clue. I've never heard that clue. That clue is great. That clue is awesome. And I will run with that clue. Doesn't matter to those people if that clue is incorrect. It's completely wrong. It's just, it fits their thing. So that's that matrixing that Dutch hunters do. A lot of them do it. Most Dutch hunters are not, what would I say, as analytical I am. I throw way more out than a lot of people will because it has to make sense to me. And it has to be something that I can't say, be dismissive of. Like, it should be something scientifically you can say, well, that is, what? The story follows that. Yes, that could be real. And you can test things, you can carbon date things, and you can do so much. And yet people want a shortcut. And as soon as they think they find something that can prove a theory, they use it and they can use it wrongly and they prove it. And they do it on television all the time now. And so, hey, whatever, it's not like the days of the mediums and the seances and crap back in the turn of the century that were a bunch of fakers that took people's money and Harry Houdini and a bunch of people were exposing these people. It's not like, there is a reason there were people like James Randi, because they were out there trying to show you quit pumping your money into some people. Well, there's people that will continue to do that stuff, and especially with Dutch hunting. Crazy Jake pulled it off. Chuck Crawford, but there's so many people that have pulled that stuff off, and everybody will laugh and point at them and say, "Oh, they were just a con man. Oh, this guy's a con man. This guy was the modern con man," and they'll sit right next to someone who's a con man, and it drives me nuts because you know what? There is the truth and there is not the truth. There isn't like, it's kind of like, yeah, it could be. You can't do that. Okay, I'm sorry. I made a funny voice and did all that. Never rained. There's a song in there. Never rained at the rendezvous. Those who don't know history are doomed to repeat it. Well, I don't know if that falls into this, but they go around in circles a lot. You might be right, Ed. Oh, there could be a song. Let's write a song about the rendezvous never having rain. What is your view of money and material wealth? Does it make someone more? Is it money about the end of the day, or is it the root of all evil? Money is not the root of all evil. People are evil. Okay, we're all inherently evil, and we do bad things, and we think bad things, and we are misguided. If you don't have money, and then you have money, you shouldn't change. Nothing should change. You could wear nicer clothes, you could eat better, you could live in a nicer place. You should always remain the same person, regardless of your wealth and all that. I don't think there's anything about me of like what I would do or how I would reach out to people and the people I would hang with. And I always saw that as like, there are people who are very real people, and you may say they've done bad things or good things, whatnot. But the point being is they're the same person regardless throughout the pattern of their life. Money should never change you. When money changes people, it's something to do with the person, not the money. It's just one of those things. And I think people always like to use the cliches towards stuff. Money doesn't buy happiness. Bullshit. Take a real well-grounded person who can do a lot of good with money and has lived a hard life. Give them a shitload of money. They're going to be happy as a clam, live much better, probably live longer, and do a lot of good with it. So no, it's the person. It's the person, not the wealth. And unfortunately, there's a lot of greed in the world. So you deal with greedy people, and greedy people are bad because there's people if people haven't had wealth, because we're talking wealth, not just being rich, just having a lot of money, having $1 million or $2 million. We're talking wealth. If someone has wealth, it's very different, because wealth means you don't have those worries or those problems anymore. And you're probably going to be more the person you should be. And I think you'd find a lot of people that are wealthy are pretty more down to earth. They're wearing just regular pants and tennis shoes. They're very different, because people who have wealth aren't worried about getting. Now, there are people that are competitive. I would say Mark Cuban and Elon Musk and people like that. They're competitive. But one of the reasons they continue to make wealth is because they're competitive. It has nothing to do with them. They're shrewd businessmen that love to be competitive, and they can't help themselves. And it's just like the guy that digs ditches faster than everybody else. He doesn't want more money. He just likes to dig, and he loves his job, and he's great at digging, and so he digs more ditch. I think that kind of sums that up. So it's good to have money. And if you have money, you laugh and you smile a lot. And it makes your life far easier. But again, my dad always said, we were poor and we lived in a house, and there was an outhouse, and I slept with your grandparents till I was 12 or 13. And it was just, he said, I didn't realize how poor we were till we moved into town. He said, once we moved into town and I saw what everybody else had, I realized, wow, we were poor. But he said there was no perception of it. And he said, so all through life, he always was able to follow it. And he never had that kind of passion. We all like stuff. We like things that we're into. And he had certainly the things he enjoyed and stuff, and things he liked possession-wise. But he was very different to some degree concerning a lot of that, because he grew up not really understanding that difference. He just saw everything the same. He knew there was people that had money, and he was friends with people that had a lot of money, and as well as I am. And I don't distinctly see a difference with people that have people, I don't know how you equate, but using the terms like rich and wealth and different things, I don't see the difference between the people I know, the difference in them as a person. It's usually a lot of hard work, and it's a lot of focus and so forth. And it's good conversations, and it's not conversation. It can be conversations about making money, but if you want to know how to make money, if you talk to one of those people, the first thing they'll just tell you is, quit thinking of worrying about yourself and what you think your valuation is and everything like that. Just worry about just working your butt off and just stay focused and do your thing, but enjoy your life along the way. And if you find that balance, then everything will work out. You'll be happy and you'll do that. But money doesn't change people. No, money doesn't change people. People change themselves, but it has nothing to do with money. I miss Hank Sheffer. He shared some of the most interesting clue stories for reading our questions. No problem. I didn't know Hank that well. So I ran across him here and there. I think I got one of his books, The Missing Link. I read it once, I think. So it's around Hank. I don't think Hank ever spent much time in the Superstitions. Not a knock on him. I just don't think he really spent that much time out there. I don't know. He was the storyteller. That was, I think, his thing, the storyteller and all that. So he was always nice. I always got along with him, and we'd talk, and he was kind of fun. But it was like I never got around Hank a lot and stuff like that. It's a difference between your relationship with different people. There's the museum crowd and certain people, and I don't like to use the word the wannabes or the people know-it-alls, but there's the people I know that, it's funny. You got all the experts, and then experts come on and they do stuff and they talk about stuff, and then you don't see them. The Rendezvous, that was a place that had Tom Collimborn, and it had Clay Wurst, and you got Greg Davis, and myself, Bob Schuess, Ron Feldman, Jesse Feldman, and Josh. We'll include Josh. We should include Josh. So sometimes we make him kind of leave him out. He's a good looking kid. has a family now. Should always include Josh. But anyways, those guys came out the rendezvous. And we all sat around and we, some people knew people, some people didn't. But we got to know each other over a period of time and introduced each other to different people. A lot of people knew each other for a long, long time. But the thing is, there's a lot of people that were not part of that and we knew kind of remotely, or we found out and learned and spent time and all that. So I can say there's people that I had friends with and all, I would say I've been over and hung out with, and we've had a lot of we've conducted talking together, had discussions, and it's friendly, good natured, and we laugh a lot. Teton Ken. And me and Ken will get along great and all, but it was just I was always around Ken. It was the sense of humor, I think, with Ken. It wasn't a Dutchman thing. I think we would have always gotten along and been friends. It's just the sense of humor and the tongue in cheek of it all. Did you know Charlie Sue? I met Charlie. I'd never heard of Charlie. And he was at the Apache Land Barn, and it's a real sad story. Charlie wasn't necessarily a deep part of this, but all those old cowboys that did those old films, they were begging and pulling at me to get them on TV again, and I'm available. It's like I don't know if you can walk. And but Charlie was there, and we talked for a while, and I don't think he was doing mysteries yet. And we talked about something and all. And then I heard he was doing mysteries, like he was going to tell the real story of the Superstition. It was after we had not only done our TV show, but we were already doing you. But he's going to tell the real story. And I was like, first thing I asked somebody is, Charlie ever been in the mountains, really? They were like, no. And I said, okay. So he wasn't a Dutch hunter. He was into film and doing that stuff. I think he saw an opportunity a little late. If he would have done it probably in 2015, it would have helped him. But we couldn't do it in 2015 because we were contractually weren't able to. If he would have got an earlier start, it could have worked out well for him. Nice guy. We talked, hung out. The one thing I regret is we talked about, never really connected back on it. And I know the guys that work with it now that were connected to him, it was a Charlie and me thing, but it was like, why don't you come out? Thing, we'll film our thing, but you can film us doing our thing, and we'll film with you guys there, and we'll do episodes kind of intermixed like that, our own thing and the own spin. And he thought it was a neat idea. It was a whole different way to try to approach it, is we're not even going to plan it. We're just going to tell you we're going to be out doing this. And I think at the time it might have been, he had Larry Hedrick working with him. I don't know if he had Jack just yet, because it was mainly just Larry or Charlie doing it. Anyways, the idea was to do something over that, and we'll see how that all looks and frames up and everything. So you do yours, we do ours, and we'll find a way that we both can put them out there, and then kind of like make them like a double episode, and maybe we can figure out a way to make them sync. It would be just awesome. Cool. He thought that was a great idea. I thought it was. We never got back on it again because we were both so busy. There was so much we were both doing. And then I just remember one day I heard he died, and I was like, that sucks, because we should have done that. It would have been fun. And I would have got to know him a little better. I just sit around and chat. Does Woody Wampler need help working Frank in his gold claims? Does he need help working Frank? I don't think Woody needs help. Woody has all the help he can get. People just hang around Woody all the time. Man, so no, Woody doesn't need help. He thinks he needs help, but no, Woody's got plenty of people helping him out, and he's doing pretty good. That combo show would have been, it would have been, but it would have been fun. It would have been a fun, different insight and different groups doing that. Larry Hedrick is the living legend. That's funny. Oh, he died? Yeah, Charlie died. Man, it's been more than a few years. Yeah, I think they even did a video on Bye Charlie, and then they kept going. Sorry I laughed there, but it was kind of humorous. It was like Charlie's thing, and then Charlie died, and then they just kept going. So is that no? Well, Larry's still there. I think it's just Larry Hedrick left, right? Hank's passed away. Something happened with Jack. Well, I know what happened with Jack, but anyways, I'm not going to get into that dirt. That's their own problems and stuff. Jack's my friend, and I'm not going to get in one side. I'll always support Jack, is all I'll say. Yeah, Jack quit doing stuff with them, and Charlie died, Hank died, so it's Larry Hedrick, pretty much. That's it. So Jack's a talker. Get Jack on the phone. But Where's the blue Chrysocolla deposits you have? Have you doubled back there? They're all over. There's a bunch of deposits in different places. I don't know if you're speaking of one specific. You should do some stuff with Jack. Jack wanted to. His health doesn't allow him to get out as much, and things can be shaky. I told him whenever he's ready. The idea was not to do stuff for us. We were just going to do stuff and then just set up his own YouTube channel and let him put stuff on his own YouTube channel, and then let him, I think his son, do whatever they want with it. I didn't care. I told Jack, I said, come up with all you want and we'll put it together, and we'll put intros and outros together, and then we'll just edit and put them together and then give them to you or put them up. We'll even manage the site for you for nothing and monetize it for you, and you can have your own thing to advertise. So it was to me. So if Jack ever wants to do it, but he's writing another book, just putting this book out, writing another book. He's busy. And that's what happens with a lot of these guys. They want to do all these things. Woody's wanted to do this prospecting video. And I told him, write out an outline of bullet points of what you want to do. We'll film it. We'll run it step by step. And then we can do a voiceover, which will make it very clear without a lot of background noise, and then very detailed oriented. And he loved the idea. And I said, just write that out the moment you get it to me. Me and Trevor will come up and we'll set it up and we'll just work our way through it. Can spend a day or two. We'll get that all done, and then we'll make you multiple videos. We'll edit. We'll do everything for free for you, Woody, and we'll even send them off, and we'll get them all done, and then we'll put them out there, and you can sell them or whatever you want to. You can put it on YouTube, whatever you want to. And Woody's never sent me the outline or the sketch, so I don't know. Needham Lund seems like a really nice guy. Who's that? Jack. Another bullet time, yes, coming up. I got to talk to History Channel, so I'll probably drink a beer while I'm talking to History. Just do some Jack. I really listen. Jack's a nice guy. All the ex-cops I hang with, Frank, Jack, shoes. So with also, is it a mine or is it some sort of extremely large depository? It's a mine. It was a mine. It was ore. Jack, and that's a dead serious without making it seem like I'm throwing off to the side. It was a mine. Jacob Waltz, if you're talking Lost Dutchman mine, it was a mine. It wasn't this depository. It wasn't gold bars. It wasn't a lot of these other stories that people like to make up. Asked me how I wanted the book signed when ordering. Yes, Jack's a really good guy. I like Jack. I've known Jack for a long time. So Frank and Jack are a lot closer than I am with Jack, even though I've known Jack longer than I've known than Frank's known him. But, old guys, it's an old guy thing. I'm not an old guy like that. I'm the young guy. So, found in 100 years. Symbols. I don't know what symbols you're talking about, but okay. A lot of people think there's a lot of symbols. There's been a lot of people carving symbols. I'm sure there will be even more symbols in another 20 years because there are people still carving stuff out in the mountains. That's unfortunate, but it is true. So there will be continually more and more clues as we go. Place clues. One of the greatest things in the world is to say there's a lost mine or a lost treasure. Go out and make your own clues for your own solution. And then there are people that do that. And so there's some great stories about people who have admitted they've done things. So that's really awesome. Yes, please assign an intern text speech. That's assign an intern text to speech. What's the history called about? Okay, that's some History's Greatest Mysteries. There's some confusion with them. They keep asking for releases from Legend of the Superstition Mountains, from Black Legion Films, Black Hand Productions, from Wayne Tuttle, and Superstition Mountain Archival archives, and they don't realize they're all the same thing and same person. Moi. So they keep sending me random emails from different directions asking for permission and asking me to sign releases. And I'm like, I signed a release. I'm sending you stuff. Why do you keep asking me before more stuff like I'm somebody else? So, yes. It's kind of funny. The network that did Legend of the Superstition Mountains is asking the person that they hired to do Legend of the Superstition Mountains to play Wayne Tuttle, which is Wayne Tuttle, permission to use material from Legend of the Superstition Mountains on YouTube for their program. It is ironic. It is funny. Come on. So, Larry asked me to do an interview with him on something that's I found. Okay. So on the show, you took a helicopter ride. Yeah, we did that. The chiseled oral and the rock BS. No, I don't know. Okay, we took a helicopter ride. That helicopter ride lasted a long time, and you get to see just poof, yeah, a little blip of it. And I didn't take the helicopter anywhere they wanted to. They were so mad at me because they spent a lot of money on that. And they didn't tell me, they didn't give me anything. They had a habit of like going, okay, and talking amongst themselves and then say, okay, guys, go. And then we went. And I thought Glenn, the cameraman, knew what we were doing. I thought they'd told Mitch, the pilot. So me and Agnes are up there, and Mitch turns to me and goes, where do you want to go? Well, if you ask me where I want to go, I'm going where I want to go. So I said, well, let's just go shoot over. Okay, let's go over here. Let's go down. And we went over Peters Mesa. And I said, let's shoot across Bluff Springs and circle Bluff Springs Mountain. Let's go through Bluff Springs Canyon. Cool. Let's go over Buzz the Quarter Circle U. Let's go down where we were just filming down in Hewitt and all that. And check out that and see what that looks like from the air. We were all over the place. And then at the end, I said, well, this wasn't the very end, but the end, I said, let's shoot up and go around Weaver's Needle. And then we got there and we were circling around Weaver's Needle. And I said, Mitch, what would it take to get you to turn this thing side in 2 loops, circles around Weaver's Needle? And next thing I know is we hadn't broken the doors open. So the doors were still shut at that point. Next thing I know is we're like, we're going around Weaver's Needle. And I was laughing and having a great time. So we did that. We went down the Salt River. We did all this stuff. And then we get back. We land. And then the next day, Russell, the producer, was so mad because he's like, you didn't do anything we asked. We wanted you to go out to Horse Mesa and Black Cross Butte. I never went anywhere remotely there. I was completely all over the mountains everywhere else because the pilot said, where do you want to go, Wade? That's what I did. I went where I wanted to go. And then they told me that wasn't right. And I said, well, holy crap. So I don't know Oro you're talking about. So the chiseled Oro and rock it would have been chiseled in rock. It would have been chiseled. They never chiseled Oro and rock. There's a back door to the spiral staircase. Okay. Okay. So Woody says all his disappear with a sluice box on the river. Not all of them, but a lot of them. He just likes being out there puttering. That's his thing. He loves to go out there and putter. He loves to teach. I'm going to need a bigger sluice box. Ruth lose everything looking for Jake. Like what? He lost his life. I guess that's everything. If you, I'm going to show Jack Tucker after the Dutchman's rendezvous. Okay, I don't know, Jack. That's kind of rough out there now. It's really well overgrown. It's pretty. Anyways, be careful of a lot of the snakes out there too. I don't know. Jack hoofs it out. He did pretty good. He made it back up into LaBarge, I think, so he should be okay. Anyways, a much easier hike there. What were we at? Ruth lose everything. Ruth lost his life. I don't know what you're saying. He lost. His dentures were even laying there on the ground, so there was a lot of Ruth there. I don't know. We'll have to have that story someday. Not Ruth. Adolph Ruth or Adolph Ruth missing, or we'll have to talk about this when they found Adolph Ruth and what's misconceived. I'll have to put that together. It'll take me a week or so and put that together. I don't want to really contradict Jack's book or cause a problem with that. That's not would be my intention. So I would have a tendency to not want to do it because I'm not trying to hurt anybody else's feelings or disagree with them publicly and so forth. But there's a lot of things that people just get so wrong that's just physically there in print. And it's kind of sad, silly that people overlook the obvious and then just go around it. And some of it's been people have put it out there and tried to straighten, but they never point out how people get so deterred and off the way. And let me just throw one thing to you. Cal Morris is the person that called the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office when Adolph Ruth went missing. Now, if he was at Willow Springs where they said he was camped, and the search area was down in there, in that area, in West Boulder, not Boulder, that would have been in Pinal County. Why did Cal Morris and the Maricopa County Sheriff's Department get involved? It's very interesting because Ruth was found just south of the Pinal County border. His body was. I believe his skull would have been found. I don't know, pinpointing. It's right on the border there. I think it might have been in Maricopa County. But it's really funny that the first group that got contacted and the people who led the search, and it was kind of it wasn't an official by the book search. It was Jeff Adams and Barkley still out there searching after everybody else gave up. But it was still involved and involved Maricopa County, and there were people involved with Pinal, but it was Sheriff McFadden. And, it's a very odd thing. And I've always pointed out to people is maybe Ruth wasn't where people thought he was and all that. This is not the moving body thing. Oh my God, that's what's crazy. The whole moving body thing has gotten out of hand and stuff. It's like people need to get a life and get smarter. So you know what? If we take this summer, we took an 80-year-old man, 80-year-old man with health issues from back east who was crippled, and we dumped him in the mountains and basically left him to his own devices and told him, go off hiking out there. And, good chance he might not make it. Pretty good chance. Yeah, it's things like the death certificate. Well, they put unknown because they didn't know why he died. They didn't know it was a heart attack. They didn't know if it was dehydration, if he fell and smacked his head or broke his leg and died. They weren't able to tell anything. And yet people will say, well, they put unknown because they weren't sure if it was a murder or suicide. Well, his gun had never been fired and there were no bullet holes. Sorry, the bullet hole in the skull theory. But the skull didn't have bullet holes, so there is the problem of why are you saying that? Oh, you're saying that just to get it in people's heads again about something. Adolf Ruth most likely died. The probability is of probably something heat-related stress and stuff than because of his health. And he just died. And he shouldn't have been out there. And it's sad. And, and instead it's been me. And, I've talked to people that were involved in the search, families years later. I don't think there was as big of a deal made of it as we make of it. At the time, it was kind of like, wow, poor old man, he died. We feel really bad for his family. Our perception is like, oh my God, the Adolf Ruth incident. So, and anyways, we'll talk. We might do an episode on that. I want to read Jack's book before I really delve deep into that and make sure I don't step on any toes because I want the book to do well. I want the book to do. Everybody has a right to their opinion and their theories. All right, so there you go. He's going to tell Jack Tucker. Oh, hell yeah. Good evening, Wayne and crew. Okay, that was Diarrhea Splatter. We're just about ready to go because I got to get going because I got a Coors Light, a Silver Bullet to kind of take care of. I think I got pork chops. And usually my pork chops are shake and bake because I like shake and bake. I know, but hey, I could have $1 billion in the bank and I want shake and bake pork chops and I want Peter Piper pizza because that's just what I like. And it shouldn't change anything. I don't want caviar and I don't want this and I don't want fancy foods. I just like, I just like what I like. So there you go. Eat up at Buddha Brothel Shake and Bake is awesome. Yeah, I like shake and bake, man. Shake and bake's good. There's a lot of sound and these. Yes, there is. Okay, so thank you everybody for joining us. That one went a little longer for one that I just threw in there. People always mention, you this and that. I'm tired because I worked 8-10 hours and I'm outside and it was 109 degrees today. And I literally am out smoking outside before I do this. And then I come in and just get a minute or two to cool off. And then I run into this. So when you think, man, you look kind of like a little weary, this, that, how are you doing? It's because you're catching me at probably the worst part of my day. I'm at the age where I should be taking a lot of naps. And I'm not. Frank takes naps and baths and little walks in the mall and the air conditioning. I don't. So, yeah, you kept me at my roughest and my worst. It's never done me well and favorably here. So I got to come up with something better light-wise. Anyways, applesauce and pork chops. Yeah, I'm not a big applesauce guy. I'm a big pork chop guy. Thanks. Thank you. What type of work do you do? I work for the electrical utility company. And I'm not a lineman. No, that could have been BS. I don't know who came up with that. I'm a supervisor, man. I'm management. I'm a management guy. No, I work for Arizona Public Service, which is one of the two big utility companies in Arizona. So, and I do a lot of garden a desk anymore. Can we maybe get a guitar show? we talk about doing stuff like that, and maybe I will do it. It's going to have to be something set up. And the biggest problem is this. See these? See this? These are arms on a chair. That is not conducive to doing that. And I like to have something I can sit back in. I need a chair with the back that doesn't move, that doesn't have arms. And I have a stool. I have a keyboard bench, but I don't have necessarily something just, I like to sit and lean back and play and all. So we will have to come up with something and do something. Maybe we need to do the karaoke thing where I play a song and then people have to come on and then they have to sing the songs that I play. That would be fun. Yeah. Maybe not good. Bye everybody. Bye everybody. Bye everybody. Shake and bake. Might equal splatter. Nah. Yeah, an armless drum throne has a perfect back. Well, I'll have to look into that. Thanks for sharing. A happy Friday. Thanks, Wayne. Once again, your cool approach and logic is appreciated. I always try to be entertaining and informative and all those things all wrapped up in one. So there you go. Thank you, everybody, for joining me. I hope everybody is well. Hope everybody has a great weekend. We're not going to be able to stay cool here, but I hope you're going to stay cool there. Thank you for joining us from sea to shining sea, even across the seas to Germany and Australia. That's been very, very, very cool that we're bringing everybody in and all that. So thank you so much and have a great weekend. And until the next time, I'm Wayne Tunnell, and this was Legends Live.